Welcome back to One by One. It's been a few weeks, but shit's going down, motherfuckers. I'm back. I went to record a podcast with my guest, today's guest, a couple weeks ago. But when I went to go turn my laptop on, the minute before that I was going to hit record, it just was white. Apparently my GPU, CPU, some crap like that went. But the place that I got it from took me right back in. And they hooked me the fuck up. I want to give a shout out to Expermac in West Berlin, New Jersey. My friend Frank Morley. He's in a few bands. He's been on the podcast back a while ago, a couple episodes actually. His band, The Third Arrangement, is gonna come on here and do some shit in the future. But they fucking took it and they were like, this is under warranty. These things happen, whatever. Everything was saved. They got me even better shit, better video cards, and I couldn't be happier. Because the shit is working good. And it actually sounds better because when I record before, when I was recording before through Skype, it was just getting like little beep, beep, like weird things, I turn off the Wi-Fi and shit and still be there. Like, what the fuck's going on? But, not since. Tonight was the first night I recorded with this one. And it went perfect. Did not really have a problem at all. So, I'm very happy. Thank you, Expermac, Frank Morley, Billy DeLay. You guys are the shit. Lots been going on, people. I know The Degenerates has been out for over a month now, right? Wait. Nah. A couple of weeks. Shut up. But my friend Uncle Joey announced that he's got a show in the works with Fox. Called Uncle Joey. Oh shit. It has been a long time coming, and I couldn't be more proud and just happy for him. He deserves this shit. That's all I can fucking say. He deserves this shit, and the world fucking deserves to see this shit. And I hope it happens. I know it's a lot of work that goes into it, especially being the guy that, comes up with the show and writes and acts in it and everything. So if it actually happens, he might have to take a little time off stand-up or not do it as often for a little while, But fuck, people, we got Uncle Joey coming to TV. He's been on Guest Book a couple times already this month. Greg Garcia's awesome fucking show on TBS. And both of those cameos were the shit. I'm just so excited. So excited. I've been doing good. I've been working back and forth. Still, day job, design, music. I just got an email tonight before I spoke to my guest from the Comedy Store. And I've been working, back and forth with them for a while now. And, a couple different contacts there. Brenton, Paulie himself, and, a shitload of comedians that I work with go there all the time. And they're in the beginnings of, they already have the Comedy Store podcast, and they have a spot now to actually record podcasts there that are, I think it was in the basement or something. I think they actually got a different spot. But anyway, they need some help with some designs and artwork for the podcast that they're going to have on their Comedy Store network channel. I'm going to get to help out with that, so I'm fucking so excited. I'm wearing my Comedy Store sweatshirt right now. Representing, motherfucker. Maybe that should happen. But, I can't wait. And now that I got my computer back, I can get to working on this design program and get some fucking t-shirts out there for multiple people, not just one by one shit, but shit that I've wanted to make and I want to help with, and hopefully getting some together for Mr. Lee Syatt for next year. He just released his merch on his website today, actually. Tuesday, the same day that Ryan Sickler's new album came out, motherfuckers. So it's a good day. It's a good day to be alive. It's a beautiful day to be alive. Woke up breathing. I woke up with my family and my little baby boy, my woman, and I'm just very thankful. I know, I try not to express it that much, but I get down on myself a lot and get upset a lot about things that are or are not happening, and I just always have to stop and step out of it and try to look at what I have gotten given to me. Is that even how you say that? I don't even know. It's just what I have and what I'm doing, and I don't even know where I'm going with this. I just want you to know that I'm trying to hold it together over here. And I have a good support system, and things are moving along. I feel even bad saying they're moving slower than I want them to, but it's just because I'm kind of in the unknown about the future, and it's confusing. I just really need to spend time on these different things that I need to learn and be able to produce different content and stuff, and it's going to be a different world. It is a different world. It's a continuously evolving world, and it's exciting but scary at the same damn time. So I'm glad y'all are here with me. I'm glad I have the support of you all that are listening, and they give a shit what I do. I just do this shit for fun, for the most part. 99% of it's just for fun. That 1% is just, I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's all for fun. It's all for creativity. I don't know. I think the time constraints and lack of time and space-time. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. I need more time and I need more coffee. Please. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you are hiking in the middle of Utah, why would you do it anywhere else but at Hike Moab? please, give me a motherfucking reason why you wouldn't just go there. Go to moabhiking.com, and you can find the trails to Baphomet. I mean, it's right there. The beginning. The door. Use the code 1x1. You get a little discount there. Micah Hatcher. He's the owner and the hiker taker over there. Hiker taker with her. That's what I call him. Hashtag hiker taker with her. He actually just had a little bicycle accident, and dented up his head, I saw. Hope you're doing okay, dude. When we're going to get Micah on the podcast here soon to talk about a few new things with Hike Moab. But one of the things that I want to talk about is how in the freaking shit that happened. Because that was a gash, man. That was not nice. Right on the fucking dome. You know? I never had a cut that big and deep on my head. You know what I'm saying? But, please, go check out my friend, Micah Hatcher over there in Utah. They filmed Westworld out there. That shit's coming back again, man. If you go out there with Micah, you might be on a fucking trail one day, and you just, like, turn around and you see all these, like, this movie crew, and, like, Tate Fletcher's over there getting ready to, like, bash himself in the head with a rock again, and I don't know. I just love that show, man. It was so great. They should film Game of Thrones out there and then mix the two, Westworld, Game of Thrones, somehow. Could that even happen? I don't even know if that's different networks. That's the same network. HBO. Showtime. Yeah. It could happen. There could be a fan-made one where a dude, like, goes on a hiking trip out in Moab and then falls into the Westworld world. And then in that world, you go to Game of Thrones level. And even below that's, like, Middle Earth. Lord of the Rings shit going on. You never know, because they all went on hikes. That Lord of the Rings movie was like a fucking 9-hour hike, if you think about it. Really. One ring to rule them all. And one fucking sore-ass foot at the end of that shit. No wonder they got fucking feet looking like that. Jesus Christ. Fucking habits. Anyway. MoabHiking.com. Code 1x1. Yeah. Do it. And here we are. I would like to welcome a fella who actually contacted me like a while ago, maybe over a year ago now, for his magazine, 247 Ink Mag. It's like a tattoo magazine and shit, man. He makes it himself with his friend. They're partners. They're not just some dudes. They're legit. But he actually like called and Skyped with me and like interviewed me about what I do. I was like, damn, this is fucking weird, man. I just sit at my house and fucking talk to people. Make weird pictures on my phone. But he turned out to be a really cool fucking dude. We had a long ass conversation and like, you know, not all of that went into the article, obviously. So we got to know each other a little bit, and, you know, we got a lot of the same passions, and he's just a really cool fucking guy, and I can't wait to meet him, give him a motherfucking hug. He's done some work making some digital, 3D digital artwork. Of Uncle Joey, he did one. It was just like a little project that he did. But he has a company called Pixel Urge. And he's just doing shit all over the place. He's a video editor. He directs music videos, commercials, film. Like it don't fucking stop. All right. And I'm just waiting for just one thing to happen, and he's gonna fucking blow the fuck up because he's a talented motherfucker. And I couldn't be thankful enough to have him give me some of his time. Some of his time, his precious time. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the great and powerful Saint Vazquez.
Hello.
Yo.
Hey.
What's going on?
What's going on?
All right, cool. I got you back. I don't know what the fuck. Like, sometimes when I answer calls and then try and plug it in, my phone is a little weird. It's skitzing on me lately. Probably because it's like cracked in the back, like totally. Yeah. I got like a case on it that's just constantly on it. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I decided to go on my computer rather than on my phone.
Yeah, I should try doing it through the Skype on my computer. The way that I do it, I don't have to go through like, because you can't go right from Skype to GarageBand for some reason. You have to like go on a Mac anyway. You have to go like through like two other things, and then it gets into. So I've been going right through my phone, man.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Just the outputs. How's it going, dude? I haven't fucking talked to you in a long time.
It's going. You know, basically I had a few little things that I was dealing with as far as, you know, some medical stuff, you know, but, you know, I had to go get checked out and stuff. You know, I was having like stomach pains and like bleeding, and it kind of like freaked me out because, you know, my father, he's going through this whole like colon cancer thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I decided to go. I got checked out, had a colonoscopy and all that stuff. So they found a polyp, but you know, I'm waiting to see what the results were. But other than that, they didn't really find anything else. But
dude, I actually went through the same shit. I still have to go back for they had me go for like I forget what it's called, like the one where they only go like halfway up.
Oh, the endoscopy?
Yeah, some shit. I still had to get put under for it.
Yeah.
And they found some shit, and then they were like, you got to, you know, reschedule like a full colonoscopy to go back up and make sure shit. Because I've been experiencing that whole bleeding crap too a little bit, man. It's fucking scary, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like
got to get checked out.
You know, you gotta get checked out. I've had you know, my business partner, you know, he went through cancer, like colon cancer.
Yeah.
And then I have another friend of mine that I used to work with in the industry, like the film industry. He's going through it right now too. He's going through chemo, so it's like a lot of people getting cancer these days.
Yeah, man.
It's gotta be something. There got to be something in our food or whatever.
It's fucking in our water, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
and the food, you know. But I don't know, man. Hopefully, like, I mean, I've been experienced like dealing with fucking cancer since I was little. My grandmother had brain cancer, and she passed away from that in like 89, 90.
Yeah.
So like, I can remember that shit vividly, and like, as I'm growing up, you know, and I become a teenager, and like I start smoking pot, but I'm not just like, you know, not also just the kid who just like starts slacking and fucking just starts getting high all the time. I was also like interested in about learning about what the fuck it was and stuff, and it's kind of cool that they're like legalizing it and making it more available now for shit like this. But like, I kind of wish they would have fucking did it back then. That way, maybe, you know, we would have had not lost some people that we have, you know, already.
It's freaking crazy. Another buddy of mine that actually was in the tattoo industry, he was probably about our age. Like, he was like 36, 37.
Yeah.
But he was on ink master, his name was Clint Cummings. He passed away from colorectal cancer. So he was only 37.
Dude,
That was like
and
2 years ago.
did that like sneak up on him, like,
Well,
or did he like have symptoms
he
of it a lot, or?
he started having some. He was like overseas, and he was going through some rough times too. So I don't know if it was stress that kind of brought it on. He was kind of being self-destructive in a way.
Yeah.
As far as like, he was going through a lot of like stressful shit. He was drinking and all this stuff, but I don't think that was the main cause. I think it was just like, it just all came to a head.
Yeah.
So he had just broken up with his girlfriend that was actually on TV as well. She was a tattoo artist, and he started going on a drinking binge, and then he found out, like, he was having problems like going to the bathroom. Like, he couldn't use the bathroom for damn near like 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
What he was saying. So when he finally went, they're like, well, dude, you got to freaking, you should come in sooner. You got a tumor pretty much blocking your whole like colon.
Wow.
So he was pretty much like stage 4 and like, the far end of it. So they did what they could, and, he caught it too late.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It, like, I mean, I'm scared too, but I mean, have you gone back and like had other shit checked out with the doctor? Do you have anything else going on weird that freaks you out? Like, I got like a fucking weird heartbeat shit going on, and like a head thing too. Like, I haven't got checked out.
I pretty much got everything checked out. That's why they found out that I had the polyp. Because at first, when I did my regular checkup, see, here's the thing: a lot of times people will go to the doctor, and the doctors will tell them, "Oh yeah, you're doing good," just with the regular stuff.
Yeah.
But if you feel there's something wrong, you got to kind of push the issue. They're not gonna, go and do all these tests by themselves.
Yeah, they're not just gonna like, all right, bend over real quick.
Yeah. So I told them, like, I've been having these little issues here and there. It's like, don't be afraid to fucking tell them, because it's like, then they're gonna miss it. Like with my father, like way back, he went to a few doctors and they told him, no, you're good. It's just like hemorrhoids and stuff like that. So 4 years later, it's like he goes to like a walk-in clinic because he's having the same issues again. And they tell him, like, you need to go get a colonoscopy. So when he gets the colonoscopy, he's stage 4 cancer. He's got a tumor.
Jesus.
So it's like, you can't delay on the stuff and, to have these doctors basically tell you everything's all right. If you feel something's wrong, you got to go and get
a fucking second opinion and shit like that.
Yeah.
My thing was like always, well, besides I don't like going to the doctor and getting shit shoved up my ass, but
yeah,
I did the health insurance and stuff, like with work. Like, it's hard, like, to fucking make sure. Like, for a while there, I was unemployed and I wasn't able to pay for the whatever Obamacare at the time or whatever it was,
Yeah.
So, like, it's...
Well, what you do in those certain situations, there's ways around that as far as, like, if you're unemployed, what you're probably going to have to do is bite the bullet and spend a little bit of money and get, like, a single member LLC or something.
Yeah.
Like a new company. And this way, at least, they know that you're self-employed and you get a little bit of state help with the insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true, dude. That's something I've been, like, looking at. I was looking at, you got the Pixel Urge LLC.
Yeah.
And I don't have fucking 1x1 LLC yet, I
yeah,
should fucking done that a while ago.
Yeah, you should probably go and do that. There's some benefit. A lot of people think once you get a company going, it's like state help goes out the window, but that's not true. There's a lot of like state help for like brand new companies, because they understand like the first 2 or 3 years, you're not going to be really making any money on your new company.
Yeah. You'll be spending money on your company.
Yeah. So pretty much like, that's kind of like the situation I was in at first, where I had to go get some state help. And I was like, I've never used state help before in my life.
Yeah.
Because I've always had my own companies and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what, let me try it out. It couldn't hurt. And I just started this company here in Connecticut. And the whole thing was I pretty much up and left everything I had in New York because of the whole situation with my father.
Yeah.
And I came back over here and I'm like, okay, since I'm going to be over here, I might as well just start my company over here. Doing the 3D stuff and, just do something for myself. And luckily I did, because then,
kept you busy, right?
kept me busy and at the same time kind of helped me out because I was able to get some insurance.
Yeah, that's a way better way of looking at it, dude. I didn't even fucking think about that shit. And I've
Yes.
been doing this for a little, like, going on fucking 3.5 years now. So I could have been
Yeah,
fucking did that, you know?
yeah, it's pretty simple. I'm not sure what it is, like how it is in New Jersey, but it's probably a lot easier than here in Connecticut. Here in Connecticut, they pretty much tax you for everything. But
Sure they do.
I think it cost me like $200 to get the articles of organization, and I registered as a single member LLC, which is not the same as an LLC. The difference between those two is the single member LLC, you get charged a little more on taxes, but you only have to file one set of paperwork for your taxes, almost like you're doing personal taxes.
Okay.
Whereas with the with the regular LLC, you have to file two separate forms of paperwork for your company, which is a little bit of a hassle, but you do save a little bit of money when it comes to taxes doing that way. I just figured, I'll pay a little bit more. It's fine.
Yeah, fuck it, And I'm sure you could fucking change that later on, right? Like,
Yeah, if I decide to bring a member in or, somebody else into the company, then I can just change it over to a regular LLC.
oh yeah, true. Yeah.
But
Mine would be definitely a single because I don't have
Yeah.
no help right now.
yeah, that's probably the best way to go, man. It's like just file for a single member LLC. It's called, what do they call it? Something like disregarded entity, like where you file for that and you basically can file like your 1040s and all that stuff just like normal, and you just add like your income for your company and all that together.
Oh shit.
So
Yeah.
it's a little bit easier, but they do charge a little more on taxes. I'm not sure how much. It varies state to state.
Yeah, and you got to do it like quarterly or like something like that, or
No.
just once a year.
It's just once a year. The only difference, I don't know, again, in Jersey, it could be different. I had to pay an additional $100 for a sales permit, which every company, I think, now has to get. I'm not sure about Jersey, but here in Connecticut, doesn't matter what kind of company you are, you have to get a sales permit. And then you file every month, even if you don't make anything, like sales tax-wise.
Yeah.
I still file. I just zero it out because all my stuff is pretty much like graphic design, which they don't charge sales tax on.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, true.
But so I did all that, and I decided just to get some insurance, and I did that, and I was like, you know what, might as well just get checked up and all that. And at the same time, I started having these like weird pains and shit. I don't know if it was just like the perfect timing or bad timing. I don't know how to, But so I have to wait probably next week to find out to see if there was like any pre-cancer, I guess, in the polyp that they took out.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried. Like I know a lot of people that have gone through the whole cancer journey and all that stuff. It's, the hard part is just actually going and getting checked. That's the hard part for for most things.
And then if you catch it at the right time, then you're kind of okay, I guess, but not.
Yeah,
really.
you don't have to go through as much shit as if you catch it late.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's true. Well, since you started like Pixel Urge, like how long ago was that exactly?
That was actually at the beginning of the year.
Beginning of this year.
Beginning of this year, yeah. I started that one out. Before that, I've been in the film industry for going on like over 15 years, maybe longer.
Damn.
I don't know. But I've done like music videos, short films, independent films, all that type of stuff. And I started out with a guy named Zodiac. He actually used to do all the music videos back in the day with like Trick Daddy, Trina, Rick Ross, like with Slip and Slides Records in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my business partner. I still, work with him here and there, but he's been on the road with our buddy Michael Bivens from New Edition. Oh, wow. So he's been traveling, and New Edition's, well, it's not New Edition anymore because they had this whole fallout, like they always do. But but it's Bobby Brown, Ricky, Mike Biv, and Ronnie. So they have their whole group now that they tour with.
Oh shit! They probably play old shit anyway too,
Yeah. But
cool,
so I've been doing the music video stuff for years, and I started with him. he kind of like mentored me. I started doing editing, here and there, and I got a little bit better. And then one day he was like, would you like to co-direct some videos? And I was like, I guess. I've never done any directing, but yeah, sure.
Give it a shit.
Yeah, so that's kind of what spun off the whole career of doing music videos, and it was fun. And I kind of got in on the tail end of it when the budgets were still pretty good, and digital was just kind of like coming into the into the whole world as far as like being accessible.
Yeah.
And I kind of latched onto that. My business partner was still old school. He was like 35 millimeter, 16 millimeter, shooting those types of music videos. But even the whole movie industry kind of switched over after a while.
Yeah, I mean,
all those, yeah,
made sense. Like the quality was just about the fucking same, if not better, right? Like, and you could do a lot more. There's more space.
The process and everything was a lot simpler and a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, though, it's funny because a lot of these people that shoot like on Red cameras, Arri Alexas, they're still trying to get that look like the film quality. Like film has like almost like a milky quality that's weird. I don't know. It's like it's hard to replicate.
Yeah.
Like if you look at stuff like Raiders of the Lost Ark or like all those old like Spielberg movies, like you don't see anything like the feel of that, like, not just the story, but I'm just saying like the whole visual part of it.
Yeah. I always thought that was just like because it was a little old, like compared to like newer shit, But well, I totally get you though. When you look at like high def TVs nowadays and like current TV shows that are on, they almost look like home videos. Like it's fake.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that kind of filtery glowness to it.
Yeah, so a lot of the bigger companies, they still try to add some filters and stuff to get that feel of 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was at the tail end of it, so, I pretty much got into more of the digital stuff, and my partner and I started getting more into it. But at the same time, a lot of these other companies started popping up that, were independents, which is cool. A lot of people started getting more into it, but that whole film industry was like a very... select people that were in that industry. You had to like pay your dues and become a PA, and then start from the ground up, and not just just call yourself a director.
Yeah.
But I went through that whole process. Luckily, I'm glad I went through the whole thing of like doing the PA work and doing some editing and helping clean up on set and learning from all that stuff. It really helped me out.
Yeah, man. It's like fucking in comedy when you do all the shitty shows that nobody's at and shit like that, like it's building your character as a fucking artist and shit.
Yeah, and it's not just given to you. That's the whole thing. I think that's why I have an appreciation for all the stuff that I do. Everything that I've done, I've put in long hours to actually learn, especially the animation, the drawing. Like I've been drawing since I was 2. But every day I try to learn from somebody that's better than I am. And that's the whole thing of, always trying to, like, if you think that you've mastered something, then pretty much you should stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because
what the fuck's the point?
There's nothing left to do. But yeah, so every day, especially with the Pixel Urge is more... It's a little bit of the film stuff. Like I've taken some of like my directing and editing skills over into that world. But that's more of my artistic side. Like I do a lot of 3D. I do special effects, animation stuff.
Did you get into that shit like at the same time that you were doing video editing, or that came like a little afterwards, right? Like as the technology came.
I've always, I've always enjoyed animation, cartoon stuff. And I've dabbled in it. Even before I got into the whole film industry and music videos, I dabbled in it, and I got the whole like light table, like to try to do that 2D animation stuff, and I dabbled in that a little bit. And it kind of fell by the wayside after I started doing music videos. But I still, every now and then, I would still try to like learn some of the 3D stuff, and I actually incorporated it a lot into music videos that I did, like whether it's like special effects or like green screen stuff, adding things in there that weren't in there.
Yeah.
So I still was able to dabble with it, but in the past I'd say probably the past 2 or 3 years is when I've really like gone into it, full bore. Is pretty much like I started learning this program called Blender 3D, which is an open source program.
Mm-hmm.
I used to use Maya, I used to use Cinema 4D, all those programs, but the only problem is either you had to pirate them if you didn't have the money or pay the licensing fee.
Yeah.
So
Shit's
that's the only.
expensive, man. Just like Photoshop. Fuck.
Yeah, Adobe pretty much is like $600 a year
Yeah.
for the whole
I
thing.
was like, fuck.
So
I just got my friend Marty from Drastic Graphics fucking told me about Affinity
yes,
photo and design. I just bought that for my MacBook, so I'm about to fucking sit down and learn that the next couple of weeks, like at night while we're
yeah,
sleeping.
yeah. The only thing I couldn't get away is because with Adobe is there's a lot of things like, for example, the other thing that I actually do too is I run a tattoo magazine,
Yeah.
which is called 247 Ink magazine. I own it. Me and two other people run the magazine, and I do a lot of the graphic design part of it, like putting the magazine together.
Yeah.
Adobe InDesign has so many awesome like features to put magazines together, and once I started using it, I was like, "Fuck, I can't use any other program now."
Yeah.
So Adobe After Effects is another thing too. It's
I
like,
know, man. I want to get that too, just for like some video shit, weird video editing and stuff that I've seen.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the whole thing with 3D, I was like, I don't know if I really want to spend that much money every year now that I'm still spending money on these, regular programs.
Yeah.
So I started getting more and more into Blender 3D, which is basically all my special effects and 3D stuff. I do it pretty much like almost 100% in Blender. And people thought about Blender, and they're like, oh, Blender's just an open source program. It's free. It's not as good as like Maya and all that, which is completely false. Recently, Netflix just put out a whole feature film from a company called Tangent Animation called Next Gen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fully animated cartoon, a 3D cartoon that was done almost 100% in Blender.
Oh,
and the
shit.
guy who started Tangent Animation was one of the original developers of Maya. So what does that tell you?
Tells you just as good, dude.
Yeah. So, that's my main thing. Like, I've been trying to focus more on that, learning that program inside and out, like as much as I can. Every day I try to actually get onto that program and try to figure something out or something new with that program.
Yeah. How do you do it? Like, do you have like a manual, or do you look? Because I with everything I've ever fucking done, I've looked up a YouTube video and seen somebody do it, and then I just repeat it.
Yeah, you could do that. There's a lot of YouTube videos for Blender, but the thing I love about Blender is the community that Blender has.
Oh, okay.
They have like a really big community with users from all over the world that, you just got to ask a question and be like, how do you do this? You go on there and somebody's bound to answer it.
That's really awesome. And you
So-
don't even have to like, and they give you like specific answers, like not just like, oh, look it up in the manual here and try to figure it out.
Yeah, they basically they'll direct you to like a resource. Like they'll be like, "Oh, check out this YouTube video. This is what'll help you out." Or if there's not a YouTube video, they'll be like, "Well, send me the file real quick. I'll take a look at it," and then they might send it back to you and be like,
Yeah.
"Okay, this is what you're doing wrong."
Dude, it's pretty friggin' cool, like the community of like graphic designers, at least that I've even seen on just Instagram. It's like the when Sober October happened,
Yeah.
there was a bunch of dudes that got together and made this whole group message thing. Now they have a page on Instagram called the Comedy Content Collective, and
nice.
it's just fucking like 10, 15 people in there, and they all like right now they're getting together and just they pick a comedian or somebody they want to like spotlight for the week, and they all just do artwork for that person and like post it all up on there and on their own individual pages too. But they all, I'm in there as much as I can, and I see like all the conversation and stuff going on, and they really go back and forth on like, what do you guys use and how are you getting this done? Because they're different kinds of artists. It's not just like the Photoshop guys or whatever. They're like drawing and like digital design. It's cool shit, man. It's like
Yeah,
it's kind of like Reddit, I guess. I never really went on Reddit. Like,
yeah. No, like that's what I love about the artistic community. Like people are still willing to like help out and do all that type of stuff,
yeah,
regardless of of anything. But like with Blender and all those programs, like right now they're developing the new Blender, what's Blender 2.8, which is going to have like a real-time render engine. I like they have the beta version, right? Not the beta, the alpha version that I've been using, and it's very promising. Like, have you ever seen Unreal Engine, like what they use for the video games?
no, I don't think so.
So, like most of the video games that that are out there are run by Unreal Engine. Like most of those shooter games and all that stuff that have like the almost realistic graphics.
Yeah,
So those types of games, they have to run on a render engine that's real time. So, as you do stuff, it's like there's no render time in between. So they have different techniques to use your graphics card to render those graphics out in real time. So with Blender being like a 3D animation program, they decided to actually come up with a real-time render engine in conjunction with the regular render engine. So it opens up a lot of possibilities because you can do animated series in like a fraction of the time because the render times are really low.
wow.
Not to say that the regular render engine is no good. The regular render engine will still give you the best looking type of animation. Like Pixar, they still use like those types of render engines to actually do all their stuff, which can take months to render out. But so my point being is they're making big strides in creating a program that can compete with the Mayas and the Cinema 4Ds and all that. And I've been following their journeys for years now, and it's amazing, all the stuff and the developers that are getting on board to create this.
That's
So-
that's really really interesting, man. It's like a whole. It's like a medium of art,
Yeah.
that like people that not normally would have access to can get access to. That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's crazy because right now they have what's called a development fund where artists can go on there and they can for companies or individuals too, you can go on there and pay like a monthly it's almost like you're putting money towards the fund to hire developers to make the program better.
Yeah.
So that's what they have going on right now with the 2.8, and they have developers from, I think, Blender. The company Blender, the actual nonprofit company, is based in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting developers from all over the world to come into the Netherlands to start working on this next version.
That's really
So-
cool, man. That's exciting
Yeah.
shit, dude.
Yeah.
What is like how are you incorporating? Because you were doing with the tattoos and stuff. You do tattoos, right? As well, you have done
Well, here's the funny thing is I've done 3 tattoos in total on people.
all together.
All together. It was just it started out as a fun thing, like, just fucking around. Like, there's this ink master, her name is Ashley Vazquez, and she goes to the conventions sometimes with us. Like, we have different artists from all over that go to our booths for the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So she was finishing up a tattoo, and I was just messing around with her, and I was like, you should let me tattoo you. And she looked at me, and she's like, have you ever tattooed anyone before? I'm like, nope. She's like, she thought about it for a second. She's like, all right, let me clean up this station and reset up, and you're gonna tattoo something small on me. I'm like, are you fucking serious? I was just kidding.
Dude, I'd be so scared. It's like a doctor doing like surgery.
Yeah. Well, my hand was shaking, so it was one of those things. It's like I did like a little fleur-de-lis symbol on her arm,
Yeah.
which she's gonna get that arm lasered anyway. So if I would have fucked up, it would have, it didn't matter.
Oh, well, that's cool.
But so she let me tattoo, and it came out, as good as a first tattoo would come out. So then the second person I did the tattoo on was another ink master. His name's Angel. He was on, I can't remember what season, but his name's Angel Bauta. Another ink master, and he's like, well, you could do like a little symbol, like an Iron Man symbol on my arm. So then I did it, and he walked me through it. I didn't feel as nervous, but I was still a bit nervous because I ended up wiping the stencil off.
Oh,
So I had to kind of like freehand it.
damn.
Yeah. And then the third person was a guy named Joe Perello. He basically owns a company called Holy Water with another ink master named Saint Mark. And holy water is like this lidocaine stuff that you can spray on, and it'll numb the tattoo while you're getting tattooed. So he was the owner of it, and he seen me doing these tattoos, and he's like, I'm gonna let you tattoo me. He's like, I want something to do with Spider-Man. So I'm thinking, okay, the Spider-Man logo. It's pretty simple, just lines, in a circle. And when we get ready to do it, he's like, I kind of want Spider-Man. I don't want the logo. I'm like, are you kidding? And I was like, I've never done like Spider-Man, like a tattoo, like a full tattoo like that before. I could draw it, but as far as tattooing, that's something totally different.
Yeah.
So St. Mark, he was standing there. He looks at me. He's like, well, if you want to do it, we could set you up. I'll put out all the colors and all that, and I'll walk you through it. So I ended up doing like the Spider-Man head, and it came out pretty good, I guess, because a lot of the artists were like, there's artists that have been tattooing for like 5 years and still think that's like their best work.
Yeah.
So
That's
I was
cool,
like,
man.
all right. So there was a few other people that want me to tattoo them, but we'll see how it goes.
Now, what's
It's
up with?
kinda,
Oh, go ahead.
So it's kind of like a gimmicky thing, I guess. Like friends, they want me to tattoo them, and I was like, all right.
Yeah,
And my
fuck it, man.
my business partner Steve from the magazine, he's actually got me beat on tattoos. He doesn't tattoo either, but he's done 5 tattoos already. But he does stick figures though.
Oh, jeez.
So that's become a gimmick. But he's a really well-known photographer in the industry. So a lot of these artists were like, fuck it, let him tattoo me.
Yeah.
And I think he signed 2 of them as well.
That's cool as shit.
So yeah, it's kind of like a gimmick for now.
But you actually like because you do go to the tattoo conventions and you do like these workshops with the digital stuff, right?
Yeah, that's another thing that kind of popped up. I started doing these. I've done 2 so far, 2 seminars. I've done one in Richmond and one in Baltimore for 3D sculpting. Which some of these tattoo artists are starting to get into that 3D world where they want to actually have their own references. So they want to make something in 3D and be able to save it and then add different lighting and turn it around.
Yeah.
So, I just started doing that, and there's been good feedback about it. So I might actually do something next month as well in Boston, I think. I'm just waiting to see, how many people are going to sign up for it. So
Awesome, man. Let me know.
Yes.
I'll freaking share it on my page and shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, so I started doing that, and that was kind of like a tattoo artist that did the tattoo on one of my arms. He's like, dude, you do all this 3D stuff. He's like, some of these artists would be interested in doing it, like actually learning this stuff so they can do the reference stuff, and him as well. And the guy's name is Halo. He was another ink master too, but he's got a nice shop in Baltimore, and he's the one that kind of like put me on the whole path of like doing seminars with 3D.
That's really fucking. That sounds like fun too, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
Keep
like,
him busy, dude.
Yeah, and the film stuff I still do here and there, not as much. Like I'm still connected to that type of world. As far as I did a commercial not too long ago for a resort in the Dominican Republic, so that was kind of fun.
Oh wow.
They flew me out there, and
No shit.
Fun. Yeah.
That's awesome as fuck.
Yeah, they flew me out there. They put me up in a resort. Everything was paid for. They gave me some wristband. It was kind of funny because literally I didn't have to take out any money because that wristband on the resort, I guess it meant that I own properties, which I don't. But it meant, I guess the band showed that I own properties. So pretty much all these 5-star restaurants, everything was free.
Wow.
It was freaking nuts. Like I even had my own golf cart out there.
Driving yourself around.
Yeah, I was driving around. I valeted my golf cart, which was the strangest thing.
That's weird.
Yeah, but it was fun though. It was like I was out there for 6 days. I filmed for like 3 out of the 6, and the rest was just hanging out. So that was fun. It was for some resort. I can't remember the exact name. I just did the footage, and then I kind of did the footage, and I sent it to them.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to edit it or do anything, so that was pretty cool.
What kind of programs do you use for editing, like the video and shit? You're a
I,
Mac guy, or you fucking?
now I used to be a Mac guy. I switched over and I started just building my own PC.
Oh, cool.
So I use Adobe Premiere. I used to use Final Cut, but I switched over to Premiere. It's pretty much the same program.
Yeah.
But since Premiere connects and links to stuff like After Effects pretty easily,
Yeah. So
I decided I decided to switch over to that. So I use Adobe Premiere. I use After Effects. Photoshop. Illustrator. Any type of stuff having to do with the graphics. And for 3D, any special effects, again, Blender, After Effects. Substance Painter is another program I use, but that's more on the 3D side. That's like for texturing stuff in 3D.
Mm.
It gives you like real world type textures and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Did you make your like logos and shit for your stuff?
Yeah,
Designed all that stuff.
Yeah, all the logos I designed pretty much either in 3D or in Illustrator and Photoshop. More than likely it was Illustrator though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still getting used to that the vector stuff.
Yeah, the vector stuff is one of those things. There's a lot of companies, like if you're not going to print stuff out like on a large scale,
Yeah.
then Photoshop is like all you have to use. But let's say if it's a company that wants to print out like
A banner, like a big ass sign or some shit.
a huge convention banner or freaking one of those billboards, then you'd be kind of screwed to doing it in Photoshop.
Yeah. Dude, I'm just looking at fucking trying to make T-shirts and stuff. And I think Affinity is going to work pretty good for me for right now.
Yeah, Photoshop is and Infinity is pretty good for doing that. There's also another program called GIMP that I've used that's just like Photoshop as well.
GIMP?
But yeah, GIMP, GIMP.
Oh, word, I'm right. I have my little paper out, dude. I've been writing shit down this whole time.
Yeah, GIMP is a pretty good program to use. It's like Photoshop.
Cool, I'll check it out. Since I got this, because I had to get the new Mac, well, used but new, and it's like mine now. Because when I started doing the podcast, it was on my girlfriend's laptop that passed away. So now this one's just like I got all the stuff that I needed on it, like all the design stuff, and I'm thinking about, because she wants me to help her make some videos for her work and stuff soon, and I was thinking about doing the whatchamacallit, the Final Cut one. I think it's like $300, but then I was looking at some other shit, but I also still have like iMovie. I don't even know if I really need. I'm not making like, movie quality shit. All the other videos that I make are on my phone, so it doesn't really matter, I don't think. For me, the shit that I do.
It doesn't matter. It's just the workflow type of thing. You can pretty much, like if you're doing basic editing, then, iMovie is all right. Yeah, I used to be a Mac guy, and then I just kind of got disgusted with that whole company after Steve Jobs passed away.
Really?
Like that whole company.
You don't like where they went?
No, that whole company just kind of went to shit. Their support is fucking horrible.
Oh, yeah, dude. It really... Like, I had a problem, like, earlier this year, and I was going back and forth with the same dude. And they just could not help me out. It was when that other laptop was dying. I was trying to fucking save the shit. I thought you could. I thought you could bring it to an Apple store and get them to take the stuff, like the pictures off of it, and save it on one of their hard drives, and then like load it to something else of yours. But they didn't have like. They were like, no, we don't have like hard drives where we can do that here. Like, oh, so I'm just fucked then. Okay.
Yeah, I've dabbled in computers before, way back. Like, I had gone to school for that stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, instead of spending all this money, because I was spending like a lot of money in the past years in the film industry, like on Macs and Apple stuff, and every time like we got into more intensive stuff, whether it was like once we started doing more 4K work, like 4K digital video.
Yeah.
When that started coming about, and when we first started doing it, the actual size of the files, they're still pretty massive for 4K files, but when they first started encoding those types of files, they were freaking huge.
Yeah.
So working with those types of files, there was like no proxy type of system back then. So it's like we always had to upgrade our hardware on the Apple side. And it got pretty expensive. You know, as far as the companies that I was working with, they were the ones paying for it, so I didn't have to come out of pocket. But then when I started doing a lot of independent stuff, it's like, do I really want to stick with Mac and be kind of locked into their proprietary like hardware?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to just put together like a system. So I priced out a system, and about 2 years ago, I started putting it together. It cost me in total maybe about $4,000, $5,000 worth of like hardware. But
Hey.
if I would have had something comparable as far as power in on the Mac side, it probably would have cost me about like $15,000 for the same type of system.
Damn.
But on my system right now that I'm running, I have 30. You know, it's just a basic 32 gigs of RAM, DDR4. I have an i7 4.4 gigahertz processor, and I have two 1080 Ti 11 gig cards on their graphics cards. So it's like 22 gigs of video RAM that I have on it.
Damn.
So I'm running those two right now, but I'm looking to upgrade soon once I get a few projects in. There's a new processor from AMD that I think it just came out. It's like a 32 core processor.
Holy crap.
So, yeah.
Holy crap. Dude, I can remember watching, because my dad would, ever since I was little, he would like take his computers apart, put them together. He had PCs. We had one of those old fucking little square Mac. I don't even know what the hell it's called. It looked like a little black and white TV.
Yeah.
You know, I never got into all that shit. I just got into like video games as I grew up. Like Nintendo came out, and I was like, "Bam, I'm right there." Because I would always play the video games on my dad's computer. I didn't know what else he was doing on there. But
yeah,
it's so crazy, like what you can do, and I see it. I get it. Like the fucking Mac shit is a little ridiculous. I just like some of their programs. Really, I'm just like used to some of their shit, you know.
Well, that's that whole mentality. It's like once you get trapped into it, that's the whole thing with Adobe as well. It's like I'm trying to figure out if there was an option with like all the same types of programs that was open source.
Yeah,
I would automatically ditch Adobe, but I've kind of got trapped into the whole thing with Adobe. I've been using Adobe longer than anything.
Yeah.
So a lot of my files and everything are in that. So I'm kind of like locked in. But as soon as something comes out that has something comparable to After Effects, something comparable to InDesign and Premiere, then I'm making the switch.
Right. Dude, I've been... Go ahead.
Yeah. There's a lot of programs out there. Like, there's some software right now that I use for some 3D stuff, like to do 3D photo scans.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to like take a bunch of photos of an object, and then I import those photos into this program, and it turns it into a 3D mesh for me.
Oh, wow.
And this program is called Mesh Mixer, and it's an open source program. It's completely free.
That's crazy.
So
that's fun shit, man. I had an app on my phone. I could like kind of do that, but it's not like a 3D thing. It just goes around in a circle, you know.
Yeah. Damn. But it's just crazy. Like, I wouldn't mind paying a one-time fee. Like, there's programs like that I use, like Substance Painter. They have like a one-time fee of like $130, and they'll give you 12 months of support. But then once the 12 months of support is up, then they don't take the program back. You still have use of your program. It's just the older version.
Yeah.
But Adobe went and like kind of, locked you into this whole thing where, once your time is up, there's no old program they could use.
I know, dude. When I first started doing the Photoshop stuff, it was I'm still doing it on my phone, but back then I was just like, I had an iPhone 5S or something, and at that time it was like, what, I don't know, was fucking like 09, 2010, something like that. So it was just like the beginning of like all the different apps that you can buy for photo editing, all the other bullshit. But like I finally found the actual Photoshop app and bought that shit. It was like $5, and it had all the fucking shit on it. And I was like, oh, this is fucking rad, dude. I don't need to get a computer to do all this stuff. I could just do it right here. So I was doing it, blah, blah, blah. Around comes fucking Adobe Creative Suite fucking bullshit. All the subscription stuff. And they split. First of all, they stopped selling that Photoshop. It was called Photoshop. Fuck, what was it called? Oh, something stupid. Photoshop C or some shit. Anyway, they stopped selling it and updating the app that I had. So I was like, fuck, man, this is kind of shitty. But it still had all the stuff that I really needed, and I was fine. Then they split all the apps, or split that one app into a whole bunch of different ones, and you had to have the subscription to do it and all that shit. And then my fucking phone went and, had to get an upgrade, and the app wouldn't work with the new upgrade anymore. I was like, fuck, I'm done, dude.
Yeah, that's the only thing with Adobe. Like, Adobe pretty much pissed me off the same as Apple did. But with Adobe, it's like I'm kind of locked in. There's like too many things that the workflow works, so I can't just give it up. If there's no other options for some of the stuff that I do, so I'm like, motherfucker.
I know. But, now, though, dude, luckily I found the Enlight Video Leap and Enlight Photo Fox on iPhones. I don't know if they have them on whatchamacallit, the other kind, but these two go together. So like if you're editing a video in Video Leap and you add like a layer that's like a picture that you want on top of it, but you want to like cut it out or change the picture in any way, you just click the one button and it goes right to the other editor, and then you go right back to it and it's right where you left off. It's fucking awesome, dude. Technology is so great.
Yeah, it's great, but also it's like one of those things. It's like some of these big companies, once they start encroaching on it and taking advantage of it, and then they start like locking us out of it.
Well, this Enlight people, they fucking, each one of those apps is like $3.99 a month you gotta pay. It's not just a flat fee.
Yeah.
So, but hey.
Yeah, and like I wouldn't mind paying, like, let's say if they charged me like annually for it or monthly, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the only problem I have is that at the end of, like, let's say if I stop paying, then they take the program completely away. They don't leave me with like an old version.
Yeah, that's shitty. Or they take away like parts of the program that you need.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you can only have 3 layers instead of 12 now. You fucks.
Well, what's crazy too, again, coming back to that 3D program, Blender has its own editor in it too. You can edit videos in it as well.
Oh, no shit.
You can edit videos. They just added another functionality, which they had. It's called Grease Pencil. You could do 2D animations in it as well.
No fucking way. Like on top of video, I guess, as well?
Yeah, you can do all that type of stuff. It's like an all-encompassing type of program.
How about the shit where they do, what is it, graphic? Or no, tracking?
Yes, you could do motion tracking
Motion
as well.
tracking.
Yes.
I've been trying... The app on my phone, it takes fucking forever to do it. But I tried a couple things, and they don't even look great. But like, there's a bunch of people. Shout out to fucking Bleached Media. He's fucking crazy with that shit. I'm sure you've seen that guy. He fucking he puts the heads on, but he also like puts the mouth on and makes them talk and shit. Like instead of doing the jib jab like that thing. Yeah,
more than likely he probably uses After Effects.
Oh yeah, yeah, pretty sure, dude. He's gotta. I can't fucking do that with my phone.
But Blender has its own motion tracker.
Oh shit.
And it's actually pretty good. They actually did an open source movie. That's the other thing about Blender too. They've worked on what's called open source movies. Mm-hmm. And they did a live action type of movie with special effects using Blender. Came out pretty good. The acting was kind of like subpar, but you can't blame them for that because
but was the movie called Sharknado?
No. It was Tears of Steel was the name of the short film that they made.
Tears of
But
Steel.
so that kind of, the animation and stuff was good. Again, they're not, the company doesn't have like, A-list actors or anything like that. So
Yeah.
but they were just trying to show off. It was an open source movie that they put together to show the power of, Blender and motion tracking and green screen stuff.
Yeah, what they could actually do with this shit. That's not a big
Yeah.
studio,
Yeah, so they've done a few open film movies. Like they did another one called Agent 327 or something like that, which actually was pretty good. Short little film. Tangent Animation was the one that I said put out a feature film called Next Gen that's on Netflix right now, which
Yeah,
was
I want to
actually,
look that up for sure.
and that was all done, like I said, at least 99% of it was done in Blender.
That's incredible, dude.
So
Well, that shit that you did of Joey, the morning joint thing, and then you turned it into a fucking an ashtray and shit you were sending me. That shit was cool as shit, dude. It was a nice little project,
I'm still kind of waiting on that. The guy that I was working with, I don't know, he kind of like was slacking a little bit, so I kind of just, I was like, no, well, whatever. I don't know
That's
what
how
happened.
shit happens, dude. He's probably over there, like, smoking a joint, like, looking at it, like, this thing just makes me want to fucking smoke, dude.
Yeah, it's like, and it's kind of weird. Like, I'm not going to say who it was, but I started, he's like, oh, this is cool. He's the one that reached out to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I want to print it out. So he printed it out, but I don't think he ever finished it. And then he started asking me about doing these other projects, like, that he was working on.
Yeah.
And, so he could 3D print them. And, I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, and then, when it came to paying me for them, I was like, I kind of cut him a deal, but then it just kind of wore thin because I was like, dude, we were supposed to be working on the other thing. And I was like, you know what, that's pretty much it. So I don't know. That's still up in the air.
Yeah, it could happen, dude. You got the fucking, you got the blueprints, right?
Yeah, I have the original. The only thing I have, there's other people that have reached out too. So I don't know if you know anybody that does like the 3D printing, that's willing to do it. I can send them the file.
Not yet, but I want to get one of those fucking things.
Yeah. And
that's like on my list, but it's towards the back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. This program, and I know I'm going on and on about it. I fucking love this program.
Yeah, dude, you need to be. I'm gonna try and get you in contact with Blender. Need a sponsorship up in this piece.
Yeah, well, I have, like, it's funny because right now they're doing a competition for the new splash screen for the 2.8 alpha that's about to come out soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I entered into that contest, and right now I think I'm sort of in the lead.
No shit.
The screen. So we'll see. And this is just for the alpha, for the beta version, and of the program that's coming out before the official version drops. But they're gonna.
What do you got to do to like get in the lead?
Well, you have to come up with a concept that has something to do with the beta version that's coming out, the dev fund, which is the development fund, because right now they're doing like a crowdfunding to pay some of these artists that are putting these new things in place for the new one. So it's a bunch of different things. Like if you actually go on, I don't know if you're on your computer right now.
I don't have I have the Wi-Fi off just so I don't get interference with my phone. But that's another thing I need to work on, freaking doing the Skype on my computer for, so I can look shit up while I'm talking to people.
Yeah, the go to like blender.org. There's or you could Google Blender 2.8 beta splash screen. There's like a forum where it's connected directly to Blender, so they're gonna decide on the splash screen for the next one that comes out, which would be pretty cool. Like if I get my image on there, then millions of people will see it all over the world. So
okay, man.
At least for a little while.
Yeah, good luck, dude. That would be cool as shit. And you get some free shit. What the hell?
Well, I guess Blender in itself being free is the free shit.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah. But I may get some business from that, from other companies that see it. So
Yeah, dude. Now,
So basically, what I did for that splash screen was pretty simple. Like I'm thinking beta, like beta in a program, which is like the version before the final one comes out.
yeah.
So my idea was to create like this. You ever seen those beta fish,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the fighting fish? I created like this cartoony looking fish, like breaking out of like a fish bowl, like chasing after these little bugs. Because the beta version, there's still going to be a lot of bugs in the program that they got to fix.
Gotcha.
So
That's a
I
good
created
idea.
this. I created this fish busting out of this fish bowl, chasing after all these bugs on a desktop. And there's like a jar of money that says coffee money in the background, kind of insinuating the whole like developer thing. So it's pretty cool. Like if you Google it, you'll probably stumble onto the forum, and it's under Pixel Urge. Like I have it logged in as that.
And what, you can like, can you like it or like comment on it if you're not like in the forum or whatever, or what?
Yeah,
How does
you
that
can
shit
like
work?
and comment. You just gotta register. It's free to register. You just gotta register into the forum. I'm not exactly sure when the contest ends. Originally, it said the 14th, but they extended it because the beta version is still taking a little bit longer. So people are still submitting stuff.
Oh, cool. I'll check it out when I get off of here.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of the things I've been working on. I've been trying to work on too, like an animated short film. That's my next project. Trying to get something like that done.
Yeah.
So I've been reaching out to a few people to try to collaborate on stuff, like a few other artists.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one artist that I was talking to that, we'll see how it goes for him to do some of the concept art. And then, I'll put together a story for it.
Dude, if you, if you ever want to get in contact with any of the dudes that do the shit on Instagram, I know you can go directly to them, but I'll fucking hook you up with them too, dude, because they're doing shit. Like, I'm thinking that you could get into some kind of like the animation thing, do like the little podcast clip thing too,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that would be cool as shit. In your style.
Yeah, my style, that's the only thing. It's like their
It'll
style.
take a little while though, right?
Yeah, their style, like the turnaround time is a little bit quicker for them.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I gotta sit here, I gotta render it.
Yeah. Rendering is a fucking bitch, man. I remember, like, I had this one, I forget what the hell the program, oh, it was Las Vegas, like, movie studio. I got it from, like, Walmart when I first got my first laptop. And just to render, like, a 4 or 5 minute music, like, little video thing that I had, like, a couple layers of video and, like, a couple effects on each one. It took fucking, like, an hour or two just to fucking, so I could see it. Like,
Well, there's
damn.
things online now too that you can utilize for After Effects, for 3D programs. Like they're online render farms. So I use a few of them. There's one called Render Street that I use for like projects that I need fast turnaround time and I don't want to use up my computer time for it.
Really?
Yeah, so they do charge, but it's pretty reasonable. Like something that would take you, let's say, like on my computer, as powerful as it is, there's stuff like simulations, like where it's water simulations or smoke simulations that I'm gonna render out. If I was to render it out on my computer, it'd probably take an entire month to do like 10 to 30 seconds of animation.
Holy crap.
Now, if I use a online render farm like Render Street, or there's Blend Grid, or there's a bunch of them, you can send your file over, and they charge you by the render hour, which doesn't mean like actual hours, but like let's say if your animation takes like about let's say 30 hours to render, right?
Yeah.
On their computers, it may take somewhere in the neighborhood of like 3 hours to render.
Oh, wow.
So you pay by the render hour. So like let's say if it's $1.50 per render hour, depending on the frames or whatever, it may come out to like 30-40 bucks or something like that in total once it's all said and done.
That's fucking, and then they'll just send you back the completed render or whatever.
Yeah, you just download, you can FTP to their site and download the files, the finished files.
That is fucking
So
technology, dude. What the fuck, man? That's crazy.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure that they have it for like After Effects, and I'm not sure if they do it for like regular editing, but I'm pretty sure there's something out there that they can utilize that for.
Yeah, that's cool as hell. I was actually, when I first started putting the podcast up onto YouTube, even though it's just a picture, I was a dumbass. I was putting it into iMovie on my phone or my computer, and then I would upload the audio, make it the same length, blah blah blah, and then I would render it down, save that file onto my computer, and then upload it to YouTube. That would fucking take for like an hour and a half long podcast. It would take like a whole day to render down, and then I found out on Libsyn, the podcast hosting app or website.
Yeah.
There's a thing where you connect to YouTube and you just tell it what picture to use, and it fucking makes the video and uploads it for you.
Oh, that's great.
And doesn't save a copy to your damn computer. It just like does it instantly.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. But when I go to like try to do a video podcast, because that eventually is what's gonna fucking happen, that's gonna be a whole different story, and I'm gonna be calling a motherfucker.
Yeah, it's crazy, all this stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff in the stuff that I've done, whether it's like video editing or 3D, where I've done it the hard way, the way that takes longer.
Yeah. But
I'm actually glad that I did it, because now I'm more accustomed and I can actually do things a lot quicker. Like, I learned from it rather than, I know there's different ways to do something.
Yeah, instead of having to just not even knowing, just keeping on wasting days.
Yeah.
Not to mention the long ass hours that it takes to like create your artwork, and all the animation itself.
Oh yeah, there's been times too before, like I used to use render farms and all that stuff, where it's like you finish your project and let's say you go to render it, and then you come back the next day and you're like, you looked at the finished product and there's something completely off on the entire animation. You're like, fuck, I got to re-render this whole thing.
Yeah.
And there's projects where I've done stuff like that and I've just given up on them because I'm like, I don't want to re-render this. Fuck this.
Yeah, it's sad because that pisses you the fuck off to the core, dude. It's still, I mean, it happens to me now, but luckily I can just delete the post, whatever I did wrong, and go back to it. I almost posted something today, and in the middle of it, it had like some picture or something. I don't even know where the hell it came from. I had to go back into the editing thing and fix it.
Yeah.
But shit happens,
Yeah, that whole process, like I said, going back to, again, like everything I kind of learned the hard way. Sometimes it's like you got to learn it that way to appreciate, everything that you do.
Yeah.
So, the whole thing with the 3D, like I don't consider myself great with it. I'm proficient with 3D these days. But it's like I still sometimes fall into the rut of like coming up with some like cool stuff. And it's like I try to keep away from like Instagram to go check out other people's stuff.
Oh no.
Because sometimes it's inspiring. Like there's a few IG accounts out there that I follow that are 3D guys. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty amazing. I want to do something like this. But then other times, it's like depending on the mood. Sometimes you look at it and you're like, oh, I can never do something like that.
Yeah, no, dude.
It's like, I should just quit.
I know. That's when you think that in that way. I do it a lot more than I fucking should. But you just got to think to yourself, all right, I'm not in the right state of mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. He's not really like that. There's no competition here,
Yeah,
I get on myself so bad. Like, damn it, man! I wish I could fucking do that. Like what? Like I'll see a Photoshop of somebody and it's like really good. Like the picture and the face is just perfect, and like I'm just like, damn, man! How come I didn't fucking think of that?
Yeah, well, there's always, like they say, there's always someone better than you in something.
Yeah.
So that's a fact. Doesn't matter if you're the best person in the world either, because eventually somebody's going to beat you.
Exactly. Gotta be humble.
Yeah, you got to just. That's why with a lot of the stuff that I do, I try to learn something every day, even if it's just messing around on something for a few minutes. I'll be like, oh, okay, so this is how you do it. Then I'll come back to it. Like I was messing around a lot with hair simulations in the program that I use.
Yeah.
Hair and cloth simulations. Like, if you have a character that you have moving and you have the hair like reacting to physics and like moving around on its own
Yeah.
rather than you animating it. It's cool. It's just the control on it is very difficult. So it's like I've been learning to do certain things. That's why if you look at a lot of these animated characters, some companies don't do real hair. They do like that clay type of looking hair.
Yeah, because it's just too hard, right?
It's too hard and it's too render intensive. The render times shoot up immensely once you start using like air simulations and all that shit and cloth.
And honestly, it doesn't, like, half the time it don't even look right. I'd rather just
not
see
unless,
it. What's that?
Yeah, not unless you're doing something like Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Then they actually have the resources and the power. But even with them, like I remember they were talking about the first Monsters Inc. The hair simulation on the blue guy, the big hairy guy. It took them like, I think, one frame of animation. Like if you were to calculate, this is not in real time, but they said real world like computer. Like let's say if you were put it on a like high end workstation, it would take like a month to render one frame.
What?
Yeah, with the hair simulation that they were running.
Oh my
but with their
God.
but they have thousands of servers, like tens of thousands of servers that are running, that they use to render this stuff out. So I think they had like an estimate of how many, like they estimated the amount of time that was rendered on all their systems combined. Like for one movie, I think for Monsters Inc., I think they rendered a combined time of like 1,000,000 years or something ridiculous like that.
Holy
of render time.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's just insane, man.
So it's just the render times and everything, combined, everything on all their servers and all that shit that are running like the high-end graphics and CPUs that are running like constantly.
That shit's insane. Jesus.
Yeah, I kind of knew it. That's the whole thing. Like the industry that I got into, the film industry, when I got into it, it's another thing too. At the time when I got into it, it's like was super expensive to get into. It's like if you were to, most of the stuff, the cameras that we used to use when I first got into it, you couldn't buy the cameras because 35 millimeter cameras, if you wanted to buy one, it was like around 150 to 200,000 to buy one.
What?
Yeah, the Arriflex and like those Panavision cameras.
Yeah.
That they used to have. They were like 150 to 300,000. Then lenses themselves would be anywhere from 10 to 100 grand.
Oh my God.
And film, like people don't understand. Like this is why film. People are like all these old school film guys. They worked the way that they worked is because they didn't have a second chance really or the budget to get more film because they were literally burning money on those film cameras.
Yeah.
I think 3 minutes worth of film costs like $600,
Wow.
like a roll. So just imagine all the takes that they had to do.
Yeah. Now, would you get into like into working with fucking Pixar and shit like that if you had the chance?
If I was brought into like, because they do stuff like that. They bring in other companies sometimes to kind of help with the workloads.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Like, I don't know if I would work directly with them. The only reason why is because, the whole thing is like once you create something, it's not yours.
Yeah.
It's like they own all the rights to everything, and they have some like weird clause about like once you quit their company, it's like you can't work for another company in any type of industry that has to do with them for like a while.
Yeah, that's
and
not
I think
cool
it's in
either.
the range. Yeah, and I think it's in the range of like a few years or something like that.
Holy crap.
So yeah, it can really, like if you get fired from one of those companies, you might as well look for another industry to work in.
Damn, yeah. So
yeah, I'd rather not. I'd rather just go ahead and be independent and do stuff like that. I actually became friends recently at one of these conventions with a girl that works at Pixar. Her name's Lisa Ivanova. She actually works for Pixar. She's worked on like stuff like Brave, Coco, and all those movies.
nice.
As an animator.
That's fucking cool as shit, man. I just watched Coco actually a couple weeks ago. Before
Yeah.
Halloween.
So yeah, she said that she worked on like a few seconds of animation on each film and stuff like that because they have a bunch of animators.
Yeah, that's
But
just crazy, man. It's like the digital version of that new. Did you see that Vincent Van Gogh movie that they put together?
no, no.
It's
Which one
I
was
think it's
that?
called Loving Vincent. It's on like iTunes and shit. You can look up the trailer, but it's
Take a look at.
it's a movie about his life and shit like that, and it's got real actors in it, but it's every single frame is an actual painting in the style of Van Gogh, and it's like set in, where the settings of the paintings that he did. So it's like, it's really fucking crazy, dude. It's like, it's a fucking visual. Like if you went into fucking Starry Night and just walked around and shit.
Yeah, which is crazy. I actually was reading something recently about artificial intelligence and art.
Yeah.
Um, you know how people are always saying it's like, well, AI can never take away, like it could probably make stuff easier, but it can never be creative. I'm
Yeah.
starting to figure out that that might not be true. There was an article recently, which I was reading, just like you were saying, there's an AI system, and this is not something that's like, being developed. This is already actually in place, which kind of ties into the whole Vincent Van Gogh movie you're talking about. It might be the same type of technology they're using. What this AI does is it can create pretty much in anybody's style as far as like art goes or painting,
Yeah.
a visual representation of something. Whatever you throw at it, it'll create it into that painting style.
Oh wow. Well,
You know,
no,
and
this was like a whole. There's a behind the scenes like documentary about it too. Like this is hundreds of artists just sitting down, and they like wrote out the storyboard somehow. I don't know how the fuck they did it, but every frame is an actual painting itself, and then they took a
yeah.
picture of that and made it into the
So
movie. Man, it's fucking nuts, dude. There's
yeah,
there's a thing if you go on like iMessage, that app.
yeah.
There's a besides like your contacts and shit, you can go and look up this thing called Murphy Bot. I don't know if you ever
Mhm.
heard of that, but
No.
it hasn't. The last time I used it, it didn't fucking render or it didn't send anything back to me. But you go on there and it explains what you got to do. It's a fucking AI Photoshop thing,
Uh huh.
and you just say like a sentence like, "What if Joey Diaz was the president of the United States?" And it'll look up a whole bunch of pictures and scan Google of both, and then put
Uh huh.
Joey's face on like Trump's body as best as it can, and send you back the
That's
fucking picture of it. It's
I think
crazy,
I
dude.
think that was in the same article. I don't remember that name, but it talked about search engines the same way too,
It's nuts.
where you
Fucking crazy.
basically say a phrase and it'll put together an image for you.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And there's another one too that was like made like trippy pictures like a year or two ago. I remember a bunch of people were getting it done. I forget what the hell the name was. But you went on this website and you uploaded an image and it would send it back, and you can do it as many times as you want. I would go on there and do it like fucking 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
And you upload the image that they would send back to you, because it would make it just look more and more and more like fucking like an Alex Gray fucking painting or something, like crazy shit.
Yeah, that stuff's moving into like all different types of media. Like there's a program that I've used before called Juke Deck. Have you ever used that?
I think I've heard of it.
Juke Deck basically is like it's an AI that you just tell it, what kind of music, how many beats per minute, and it composes an original piece for you
What?
that you can use. Yeah.
Juke
It's
deck?
not
That's crazy.
juke like a jukebox,
Yeah.
but Juke Deck. Yeah. So it's AI music. It's not really that detailed, but it's amazing what it can do anyway. Like
Yeah,
you
just
give
to
it some
see.
parameters and you could tell it how long you want the piece to be. I think it's like you could use the music for your YouTube videos for free as long as you give credit to Juke Deck. And if you want to use it like exclusively, I think it's like $20 or something like that, or I don't know.
That's crazy. I'm gonna look that up too.
Yeah,
Dude, I love this shit, man. It's fun.
yeah. And then there was another program too that kind of scared me a little bit because I'm like, oh, am I going to be out of the job? But not really. It's more of a tool to use for 3D. It's kind of like along the same lines as what do you call it? Like that search engine bot, the AI, where
Yeah.
you tell it what you want. So in this 3D program that they have, I don't know if it's in development right now. It's something like Promethean, I think is the name of it. But it's a 3D program. It's like an asset program. So, like, let's say if you're gonna create a room or something like that, you could just say, "I want an '80s themed room that's kind of messy, that is like an 18-year-old's room," and it'll bring in all the assets from that era that it has in the database and put together this room for you.
Wow.
And
yeah, dude.
it's crazy the implications of it to be used as like because the normal way you do that is like you have to either create these assets or buy the assets from somebody that's already made them.
Yeah.
Where I think what this program is doing, I'm not sure, I could be wrong, but I think this program is creating these 3D assets on the fly and then bringing them in,
Yeah,
which is kind of
nuts.
yeah. So yeah, I think it's called Promethean. Let me see.
Dude, imagine when they like are able to make like our souls be infinite when they can make Google into like a person. What was that fucking movie with Johnny Depp? I think they did that, right?
Oh,
I forget
yeah,
what the fucking name was, but he went into the computer and then he came out into the real world somehow, and it was fucking weird.
yeah, I know which one you're talking about. They did another movie recently, the one with what's his name? Keanu Reeves. He just did a movie like that. It's just a new one that came out called Replicants or something like that.
Oh, really? That's a
Yeah,
weird one too.
it's a little subpar, but the story was there. But yeah, it's basically having to do with like the plot line of that movie was his wife and kids die in an accident that they were in. Like he was in the car with them and they end up dying, but he's like this scientist and he's able to load their consciousness back onto like a system, and then he uses like that system to create what do you call it? A clone of them with all their memories intact.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna have to watch that one too. Damn it, man.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that when I'm always looking for new stuff when it comes to the 3D stuff, and I just stumble onto all these things like the Promethean or whatever. I can't find it now. It's in my email somewhere. It's something like Prometheus or Promethean. I can't remember.
Dude, we're all gonna be out of jobs. The Canadians are coming. Take our jobs.
Well, it's funny because it's like if you start thinking about all that shit, it's like now the whole thing of like, you start realizing it's like, are we living in a freaking simulation already and we just don't realize it?
Dude, you never fucking know, man. I think it's a strong possibility that we are.
Because as I'm creating all this stuff like in 3D, it's like I'm creating worlds from like nothing, like these different scenarios, and it's like, huh, if I can do this, this, and this, and all the stuff that's coming out, it's like,
what? Why can't something very advanced make what is happening with me right now?
yeah, pretty much.
You could be a fucking program in some fucking computer system.
Yeah.
We will never know until we go back into the Matrix. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even then, if we're part of a source code,
Still-
let's say death.
Still won't know.
Still won't know.
We'll just go in, coming back out of a vagina, like as soon as we leave.
Yeah.
Big battery. Well, dude, thank you for giving me an hour and a half, man. It's been fucking
no problem, man.
delightful. It's been a long time coming too, man. Thank you for for taking the time, brother.
When I'm in Jersey, I gotta come hang out.
Hell yeah, dude. We gotta get something going on in Jersey. There's nothing going on over here.
Yeah.
Bored, man.
How's the music stuff going with you?
I mean, it's pretty good. Like, just what I do myself, you know, but just doing the live sound once in a while and writing and recording shit my own self. That's about it. It's hard to get like it's hard. First of all, it's hard to find time to do all of everything that I want to do. But like, it's also hard to fucking get other people together to do something bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's weird. I think everything will come in time. Shit's happening. Shit's going on with other stuff besides the music. So I'm just happy about that, and just trying to keep it going, dude. I just got done my fucking like 4th or 5th cup of coffee today.
Yeah, I'm still drinking mine right now. But
I'll probably have another one too. But oh well.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just waiting for these results to come back. Like, there's a few other things I gotta go checked out for. But as far as like the normal stuff, like, you know, diseases and all that shit, I'm good.
That's good, man. Me too.
At least I'm thankful for that. But everything else, it's like I'm just like, fuck.
It's a waiting game. Yeah, I still have to schedule my good old colonoscopy. So.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty simple. The only hard part is like the preparation before.
Oh, I know. Like, just what I had to do was not that bad compared to what they told me I would have to do for that full colonoscopy. Fuck.
Yeah, it's 30 hours of liquid diet. So you can't have any, like, you can have coffee, but you can't have coffee with any type of cream in it.
Well, at work I usually use the it's like a powdered creamer. So does that count?
Yeah, they don't want any of that.
Fuck.
So
yeah, that shit probably sticks to your insides.
Yeah, so coffee black with, you could still do sugar. You can't drink anything that's purple or blue or red.
That's weird.
Pretty much like broth, like chicken broth is all you can pretty much ingest.
Yeah, you got to do a couple enemas before that too, right?
No,
they made me do 2 enemas before I went in for this half of one.
Oh, well, that's probably because they wanted to do it quickly.
Yeah.
But they give you this this laxative too.
Oh, jeez.
That you got to take 6 p.m. the day before. So you're going to be pretty much shitting your brains out for like a good, 12 hours.
Yeah, I know, man. It was fucking weird. And then was that you got put under for that shit, right?
Yeah, they gave me propofol.
They, that white shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the shit that I got, too.
That was like the quickest, like, I've went under for anything.
Dude, I never had any kind of surgery or anything, so that was just the weirdest fucking feeling.
Yeah, it's like you close you feel yourself fading away, and then you wake up, and they're like waking you up. They're like, yeah, it's all done.
Yeah, I'm in another fucking room, like, with some lady now. I don't even know who the fuck you are. But
yeah.
That's the shit fucking... Wasn't that shit Michael Jackson was fucking taking to go to sleep every night or something?
Yeah, he was taking that with a few other things,
yeah. Crazy bastard.
Yeah, that was like the weirdest shit. I was like, well, if I'm gonna go and this is what it feels like, the beginning of it, then I'm good.
Yeah, that's not that bad, right? You just kind of, no pain, just kind of fall asleep. See ya.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, good luck, dude. Yeah. Let me know what happens, man. Seriously, hit me up and let me know.
Yeah, definitely, man. Just keep in contact, and I'll be around.
All right, brother. I'll share this and tag you up.
Cool, man. When are you thinking of putting this out?
I'm gonna put it together tonight and share it in the morning.
Oh, awesome, man. All right,
brother.
Talk to you later. Have a good night, man.
Good night and have a good fucking holiday.
All right, you too.
All right.